set up something with Waymark Foster. Well, we're here. It's 2:00. Hopefully they'll get on. And this was all about Pam. You met Pam. Yeah, it was Pam. Pam is the executive director. And originally we were set at 2:30. And then Kenda said, "Can you do 2?" And I said, "Yeah." Somebody else. Anyway. Oh, Jackson Elementary. See, there you go, man. All the contracts are being signed. Killer. Okay.
Oh, is that the one for me?
No. But I mean, you are my go-to guy, so I hope you're all right with it.
Oh yeah. I mean, just being honest, George, it's hard for me to be a ringman because I got to pay somebody to come in and take my spot in the store.
I get it. Believe me, I get it. And
yeah,
I'm trying to pay more, but the ringman, it is what it is. I think now I'm at $225, $250, and if it's me just with somebody else out of town, it's $300, $350.
Yeah.
But at the same price, I got to raise rates and I got to talk to people and say we're going up. So I want to pay you more. I get it. Well, and I know that's exactly what it is. I'm saying, well, he's got a thriving store and it's not worth it for that kind of money. I totally get it. And that's what Yellow Feather saying. John's out as a ringman, isn't he? I said, probably.
But it
doesn't make sense.
It's hard to get away. It really is,
No explanation needed. I totally get that. Wait, who's calling? Is this Kenya? Kenda? No. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hi, Donna. Am I speaking to the owner of the property?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm fine. Thanks. We don't want to sell, but thanks anyway. Bye. It should say fake news. It didn't say that. I thought it was somebody else. I don't know where Kenda is or Pam.
Maybe they're just running late. It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Just leave it alone. It'll be fine. I like this way better. StreamYard, it's got the little logos and everything. I think you were on this before, but when I pay for it, which is like $25 a month, I may pick it up again. You put your own logos and all kinds of stuff you can do with this thing. It was good when we were doing virtual events, and that's what I was using. I had cameras and everything running through it, but the virtuals, thank God, are done. Now we're back to being in people. In person with people. So yeah, because you're
wait, George, what happened to the this is the wave of the future and we're all gonna do it?
I have no idea. Thank God it's
remember you telling me all that?
Yeah, I did. I know.
And what did John say? What did John say?
John says this is bogus, man. Yeah, you're right. Nobody,
mark it down for John.
All right. Too much tech is too much tech. Yeah. And yeah, I know how to do the tech, but that doesn't mean other people are going to endorse it and love it at all. And everybody wants to be in person. I get it. And it's more fun anyway. Yeah, I'll be off to Chicago Thursday. And then next week it's Connections Homes, and I'll be doing Waymark. Then after that, it's yeah, you got another one, don't you? Do you have another one that?
Yeah, the 11th, I think it is.
Yeah.
You've got Soccer in the Streets, and I've got something else.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the 10th.
Here's Kenda.
Hi.
Kenda, hi.
How are you?
Hi.
Hey, John.
How
you doing?
Pretty good.
John, have you met Kenda, John?
Well, I was at the benefit last year, George.
So, oh, that's right.
Oh, you were one of our supporters.
The ringman.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know us. That's perfect.
Well, we love Connections Homes. And I feel like I've seeing I know I have seen the growth because when I first met Pam and Kristen, they were taking on a lot, and they weren't in Texas. Now they're in Texas and Georgia. And where else are they going? They're another state.
We're in. We have an affiliate in Virginia and a
That's what I
branch in
thought.
Tennessee.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, think of us when you
I know.
when you do fundraisers out there. I'm licensed in Virginia, and John's a Texan. We're both Texans, John.
That's true because you were in El Paso, right, George?
I was born in El Paso, Texas.
Cool.
I didn't really grow up in Texas. I worked in Texas as a TV news dude, but yeah, I like Texas.
That's cool. You did the TV news thing. That's fun. Were you up at like the wee hours of the morning, or?
No, I would come home at the wee hours of the morning. I was on the 10 o'clock news for most of my career. I was doing the late night news. I've done early morning news, but that's too early.
Yeah, now you're doing late night galas.
That's okay. I'm having fun.
Yeah, you like it. You're a night owl, huh?
Yeah, we're having fun. And John, thank you, John, for being my backup. And I'm sorry, Kinda, because I was like, yeah, what happened to connections? And Waymark had reached out, and so I thought, oh well. So John's a hoot, and I like it too. That I don't know if you know who Waymark Foster is, but Waymark Foster is in Cobb County, but they're also Metro Atlanta, and they deal with foster kids. So they're in the foster system, and what a great thing that they're helping within the system. And then when the kids get out of the system, that's where you guys pick it up. I just think,
that's
great
lovely.
continuity.
Yeah. So on the same night, God's doing these different angles, isn't he?
It's amazing. So for your Good News Auctioneers team to be part of it all,
Yeah.
I'm thrilled.
That's
So
great.
I guess we're waiting on Pam.
So Pam is very, very sick. All of a sudden last night she got a really bad fever. She does not feel well at all. So she's not going to make it. Kristen might come late, but she is at a doctor's appointment. So she may or may not come late. But I think we can jump in and get started. Victoria might jump in. I'm not sure. So
how's the baby? I saw Kristen had a child. It was 4 months ago now.
yeah, he's so chunky and adorable. I have not seen him in person yet. I've just seen the chunky, adorable photos. So I can't wait to get to see the little guy.
Congratulations to Kristen and Paul. That's good.
Oh my gosh, yeah. They're going to be just the best. I'm sure they are the best parents. They're just such sweet people. So
yeah. It feels like to me, it feels personal because I've known them and I'm so happy for them. Anyway, okay, so what do you need from us?
Okay, so can I go through the run of show with y'all and make sure it makes sense?
Yes.
And then can I get advice on which items we should put in the live versus the silent?
Yes.
Can I share my screen?
Uh,
I have a little present box. You want me to try that? Or what's the easiest way?
No, you go ahead. Let's see. This is
Okay.
This is not Zoom, it's StreamYard, but StreamYard.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to share my screen.
Easy.
Here we go. So screen sharing is easiest with two monitors. Screen sharing works best on a big computer. Okay, we'll just go for it and see what happens. And choose what to share. Entire screen. Also share audio. Why not? Share. Okay.
Okay. And then
all right. So I'm going to go to the run of show. I have like 5,000 things open here. So
okay.
Let me just go.
There you go.
Run of show. Okay. And I believe that I put the link to this in your portal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I've got it actually.
Yeah, I've got it too.
Sweet crackers.
Oh,
okay.
psychedelic. Like,
That was psychedelic, right? Okay. So y'all have the link to this so that I think that anytime you pull it up, if we've made a change, you'll see the change reflected.
Okay.
So all this morning stuff, you don't need to worry so much about. That's us setting up, getting everything set up. And I don't love the format of it, but whatever, it's functional. I hope it's not terrible to read. Okay, so let's get to where it's the evening time. Okay, so we're guessing people will arrive around 5:15. The cocktail hour officially starts at 5:30.
Oh,
And
okay. So you moved it earlier this year. Yeah.
yes, we did. So
Okay.
the hope and prayer is we can get folks out early. And so a lot of our donors live in the north side of Atlanta. So we're praying and hoping that, some like a lot of our sponsors are up there, and Jackson Healthcare is one of them. They're just 15 minutes away from the Country Club of Roswell. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. Some people are further away, but at least if you're coming from the city of Atlanta, you're not driving on the worst part of traffic. You're going a good direction. I don't know. We'll see. So we're going to do cocktail hour 5:30 to 6:30. And I can't remember if we're still doing, I have to update this run of show. I think we're still doing past hors d'oeuvres and wine. I got to check all that. So then at 6:30, Taylor from the Fish is our MC again.
I love Taylor. She's a sweetheart. You know who Taylor is, right, John?
Yep.
Okay. So she'll encourage guests to be seated. And we have Jammin' DJs who did the audio last year. I shared with Pam that feedback, George, that last year the audio wasn't great, but it was just such a big vacuous space. The Country Club of Roswell Ballroom is so much more intimate. I think the audio should be fine.
Okay.
They're going to have 2 screens. So when you're going through the auction, people will definitely be able to see the slides in one of 2 places. So encourage people to be seated at 6:30. Hopefully people will actually sit by 6:45. Taylor does the welcome. And she's going to announce that the silent auction closes at 7:45. I want y'all's opinion on that. So hang on to that thought. Sure. So the very first thing after she does the welcome is a video of a youth who was matched 6 years ago. And then Robin comes up and does the welcoming prayer and invites everyone to eat.
Okay.
And then people have time to just eat. So that, probably about half an hour. It might take a while just to serve all the plates,
Are you buffet or sit down?
Seated. The
okay.
Dessert and salad are preset. So the only thing I love that. The only thing that's being served is the main meal.
One time.
Yes. Hallelujah, Jesus. I tell you what. And then so around 7:15, I'll send an automated text to say, hey, the auction's closing at 7:45. Set your maximum bids now. People will be visiting and talking and either waiting for their food or eating. Then around 7:20, hopefully by 7:20, Taylor can kind of consult with Pam and read the room. Hopefully by then, most plates will have been served, so she can go ahead and call for attention and let folks know the flow of the evening. Then we'll do another video featuring Pam about Connections Homes overview, because this is our 10th gala. So we'll talk about that.
Anniversary, sure.
Yeah. And then Pam will do her keynote speech, which it's very concise. It's 7 minutes. I need to update this timeline. So whatever we see over here from this point on, you can subtract I think 13 minutes from that.
Okay.
Because her speech is very concise. It's very inspiring. It's her personal story told in a very inspiring, concise way.
Pam, I will say that about Pam. She is she's a pro. This lady does not fluster.
She's a phenomenal speaker. She's very
smooth as glass. She really is.
She's phenomenal. Yeah. So so she'll do her speech and she'll set up the various ways to give. So she'll say, tonight there's going to be a lot of ways you can get involved. You could, bid on something in the auction and have the net profit come to our mission. You can give by check. You can give online. We're also going to have a really fun prize you can win in a game we're going to play later tonight where all the donations come to Connections Homes. And so whatever way you choose to give, please prayerfully consider doing something. And whatever amount you came in thinking about giving tonight, she told me she was going to say this. She said, whatever amount you thought about when you came tonight, I would prayerfully ask you to consider doubling that, because the need is huge,
Indeed. So before I forget, do you need cards? I've brought cards before. I don't know if you need our bidder cards.
Yes. Thank you for asking.
Okay.
I have no
John?
bidder cards. Yeah.
John,
Yes.
I've got new cards, John.
Remind
Uh-huh.
me with registration, remind me of that whole process because I need to put that in my run of show as a note for myself.
You're still using One Cause, right?
Yes.
And last time, Kristen and their team did the registration. Do you know who's going to be doing that?
This list in front of you right here, we're going to train everybody at 3:30 on how to do it. So
Okay.
basically, they pull a bid card from the pile, and then they make sure that bid card is assigned to the person, and then they hand it.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So assign and hand out bid cards.
And I would set up your registration and checkout to be the same place as people are walking in, so they can't walk around it. It's like the funnel should go right to the table where people are registering, and hopefully you have enough people to register everybody efficiently. How many guests?
Before we're thinking around 230 or less is what we're guessing at this point. But as far as checkout, so we were going to have checkout be where the silent auction is. But let me show you the diagram. Do I even have the diagram in here? I think I do, actually. Hang on just a second. Let me find the diagram.
Oh, there's Kristen. Hi, Kristen.
Hey,
Congratulations. How's your baby?
he's growing so fast. He's great.
Well, good to hear you. Maybe we're going to see you too, huh? No pressure.
I literally just walked in the house from an appointment, so probably not, but
That's okay. Okay, so thanks for joining, Kristen.
you're welcome.
All right, so I'm going to go back to sharing my screen again. Let's see, I got to figure out where that is. Present, share screen, share. Okay. And then, okay, so are y'all seeing that diagram? Okay, so the lobby over here is where the check-in will be. It's kind of off the map in this gray area. And then you walk through these doors into the ballroom.
Mm-hmm.
The stage is over here. And then the silent auction items will all be lined up right here.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, the silent auction items will all be in this back area. And then if people want to go to the bar will be in a separate room over here, a little alcove.
Okay.
So that way people getting drinks during the program won't be too disturbing.
So what do you guys think of this? We recommend gently that you should close your bar during the fundraising.
Yes. So in the run of show, I think I have the bar closing. Well, you know what? I don't even know if I put it in the run of show. It might just be in my brain. I had all the service stopping at.
I did see that. Yeah.
I think I did put it.
Good deal, Kenda.
Bar
Yeah.
close. Where did I put it? Somewhere.
I thought that you had all the service stopped, and I wasn't quite sure if
Yeah.
that was the bar, but
The bar in the bar room will close at 7. Okay, so I need to update this and change this because I met with Kyle since then. She recommends instead of having 2 bars to just have 2 bartenders at 1 bar for efficiency. So we're just going to have 1 bar, and I think it'll be in the alcove and it'll close at 7:45 because that way when the fundraising is happening, it won't be distracting. And then even if somebody, let's say we're off schedule and somebody is walking to the bar, it's in this other little space. So everyone's in here and their eyes are on the stage.
Yeah.
The bar is way over here in a different room. Like there's a wall there.
Well, that's good. I'm sure you've seen events where you're trying to fundraise and there's people at the bars and clinging and clanging and making noise. And anyway,
Yes.
the more focused you are on your fundraising, the better for sure.
Yes. So here's my question for you. You were recommending about check-in versus checkout is we are going to have all the silent auction items lined up in this area. So if you really think it's worth it, we could have our team miss part of the program in order to pick up all these auction items and walk them around back over here so that checkout is in the same place where people checked in. But I was like, not sure it was worth it. I thought, wouldn't it just be easier to have checkout be right here? So you come in and you check in here. And then when you get ready to check out, you go here to pick up any auction winnings. And then you leave out that way.
Well, I'll give you my opinion, and then you guys, John, chime in if you want. And I think what happens is that spot works really well for the silent auction winners, but your big money is going to be your live auction and your fund a need. And if people check, if they register at a different location and then they're asked to go to a different location to check out, seeing it where they just walk out and they are not by any maliciousness, but they're like, oh, okay. And it's easier for them to get out. The human mind, what do I know about human brains? Mine sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But I think that people have an easier go of it when they go to one spot to do all things instead of here to here. And the other thing is, if you've got a number of silent auction items like baskets and things like that, you still need runners to make sure that they're getting the right stuff. Because if you leave it open to people and you leave the stuff, I've seen people go and they think they have the right one. It's like, oh, it's a bottle of bourbon with the golf thing, or it's a bottle of bourbon with the golf thing plus a hat, and they look the same and they'll grab the wrong one. And it's like, what happened? And so I think it's important for the nonprofit to maintain control of not just the money, but also the merchandise.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially. And that's why I asked about your team and who are your runners and who are registering people.
Yeah, we've got a good team lined up, so I'm thankful for that. So
what do you guys think? Kristen, what do you think? Because you've done this a couple times.
I actually agree that checkout should probably be the same place as check-in. Even for silent auction people, I mean, we've had people leave without picking up their item. They just forgot that they bid on it and they won it. I don't know how you forget that, but some people do. And so then there's like extra logistics on the back end trying to figure out, okay, how do we ship this to you? And that was just a headache. So if we can avoid that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. And that's why I say if you can funnel people so that the traffic goes by the table, and you'd be surprised how much difference it makes when they're coming through the table and they're passing by the table and, oh, I got to stop and check out. We just did that with Sarah Familia. Last year, they had it at a different location in the ballroom, and half the people just left because they're like, oh, okay. And even though you tell them, checkout's over there, people don't hear you. They just don't. You got to show them.
So, yeah, I love that idea. Thank you for that advice. I can definitely work on that. What we can do is see if I wonder, I'm sure the venue probably has some rolling carts that aren't too terribly loud, and basically at a certain point, and I'll have to rewrite the run of show a little bit, but at a certain point our check-in team is also our checkout team. They'll all be the ones trained on the software, and so those people will go to the back of the ballroom during the at some point in the program and move everything into the lobby. So hopefully they can just put it on, walk it to a certain spot onto some rolling carts, then roll the carts around and set everything up in order for checkout. So that'll be a little extra step, but I agree. That's a lot easier than trying to chase down people the next day because you took the wrong thing or you didn't take anything or whatever.
Happens all the time. You'd be surprised. John, I'm sorry. You were going to say something.
Well, I was going to ask how many auction items are in the silent auction?
I don't have an exact count, but it's a decent number. Let me look and see here.
50,
I think it's
100.
Working on it. We haven't gotten them all logged. Where's my list here?
Because I went on your website and I found the Texas auction items, but I still didn't find the Georgia stuff. So is that online yet? It's coming online?
47 so far that I know of. Somewhere around 50 items in our silent auction.
That's not bad because you've got 200 and some guests. So I think if you're at 30% or 25% to your audience, then that's enough. Less is more. And it's frankly, it's more funds for the nonprofit because you have more competition, less work for you guys, and just working smarter.
Yeah. So we're hoping to get the auction preview out at least a few days before the gala. So we're definitely behind schedule where I thought we would be by now, but hopefully people should have the auction preview link at least a few days before the gala so they can set their maximum bids.
Are people going to be able to bid online before the gala? And if they're not able to attend, will they be able to still win items?
Well, I'd love your advice on that. So we could do preview only before the gala, but in my mind, it seems like it makes sense to open up bidding before the gala. And you don't have to be present to win a silent auction item. In my mind, I think we just need to make language clear that shipping charges may apply, because you could pick up your item from the office in Alpharetta, but if you live in another state, you may just have to pay shipping for something.
Yeah.
So you have supporters all over the nation. What are y'all's recommendations for that?
So I do online auctions all the time. That's what my auction company myself does. I absolutely agree on shipping it. Open it up a couple of days before. That's a blast to, hey, it's now open, reminds everybody about the event coming up, 3 or 4 days ahead of time. Nothing, I wouldn't do 2 weeks ahead of time because people forget, but 2, 3, 4 days ahead of time. And, if you need shipping, we can arrange that at your call or something like that. Bless you, George. So there's options out there, but it gives the people that aren't able to attend the ability to do something, to drive the bids, to raise more money, to do something. But I'd also have the ability for them to donate,
That's
the $100.
already.
Yeah.
Praise God for one cause. That makes that easy.
Yeah, they're pretty good, actually. They've been around.
Yeah. Some people who can't come have already given, which is cool.
Right. It's powerful software.
Okay, thanks. We can definitely do that. And then we could promote it on social media to get it out there.
Right. I think that's almost as important. I know it is that it's important to tell your patrons ahead of time, hey, we have a sneak peek, and by the way, here's what we're going to have, so that they know, and maybe put the wording in their head that donate for a good cause with Connections Homes in mind. And if you want to go here, if you want to do this, put out what the live auction items are, any trips or any big stuff, so that they have a sense of what it is, so that when they get there, they're like, oh, okay. So they can plan ahead to give to the cause, and maybe they want to go to wherever. I don't know what your trips are, but maybe it just fits in easier when people know ahead of time.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point, because the live auction, remind me, y'all, I don't remember in the past, did we put the live auction items into one cause as well as live auction? And then it's like you can preview it during.
Excuse me. Exactly what one cause does is you've got live auction items preview, night of sold or whatever like that, but they've got wording. This is live auction preview.
Okay, so that'll be when I send out the link for people to preview the silent. They can also preview the live. Well, they could actually bid on the silent, but they could only preview the live.
Right.
Gotcha.
And that's the option and actually you can do them open up where you can bid on live ones and pick them up at the night of, but I think just leave it the way it is, where it's an option.
Yeah, and I like your whole point that, if we put all that out to email our guests, text our guests, social media to the world, then everyone can plan ahead of like, okay, this is a trip that I can plan on thinking about budgeting for. So cool beans. Shall I go back to the run of show? Any other thoughts?
No, I'm good. John?
Yeah, I think to reiterate George's point, though, I think one path in, one path out makes a lot of sense, and having the runners pick stuff up. So I agree with George.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can do that. We can have this be the way in. And
I was going to say, Kenda, and think about this, and you guys can figure it out. But a lot of times, instead of moving everything out to the live where people are going to register, just have your runners go get it when people pick it up. Because then so what's going to happen if you're doing that is, will you be making a lot of commotion in the background while other stuff is happening because you're moving stuff?
I think we can do it more discreetly because at the end of the gala, our gala this year should end fairly early in the evening, like 8:30 or so. And the Texas gala that we just had that ended early like that, people just kept hanging out and talking and chatting. And so for the runners to run from here to here through the crowd, I don't think that would work out.
That makes sense.
But we could be discreet and quiet in the back of the room, especially because we aren't going to need all these tables. I think this is 250, so we're going to be more like 230 probably or less. So I think we'll be okay. Since there's this little alcove, we can quietly walk items to here and then roll them from here to here on a cart. I think that'll be all right. Okay.
I'm sorry. You had that. I'm sorry. What happens with Streamyard is I have to put it into the system. Sorry.
Oh, did something happen? I'm lost. Sorry.
No, that's okay. You were talking about the seating arrangements. But when you want to just get rid of that, I guess you can click out of it.
Okay. Let's see where we're going to show. So, okay. So yeah, the MC at 6:45-ish will kick it off and then make some announcements about when the bar closes and when the silent auction closes. Oh yeah, we already went over this. So then the video of Megan, who's been matched 6 years, the welcome and prayer, everybody's served. The text goes out reminding people to set their maximum bids. Then the MC gets back up, and Taylor was the MC 10 years ago. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, she's been, I think, every time.
So cool. So she can personally reflect on 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Taylor knows the mission and she knows the people, and they love her. She's great.
Yeah, so that'll be really cool. And then she'll remind people of the goal for the night, and give them a sense of like what the flow of the evening will be. She's going to say, be sure to stay to the very end because the last thing we'll do tonight is auction off this beautiful Labradoodle. So you don't want to miss that. So we're going to have a cute little dog. We won't have the dog there at the gala, but we will have tons of cute dog pictures, a little puppy. Then we've got the video of Pam. Then Pam will do her keynote speech and set up the ask. We talked about that. And then 7:45 is part one of the live auction. So this is one of my questions for you guys is I am having all of the, like I said before, the 7:45 is actually going to become 7:33 because Pam's speech is so short.
That's good. Earlier is better.
Earlier is better.
Oh.
So do you think that the table service, all service should stop at 7:22 when Pam gets up? That will give people how long to eat? Theoretically, that would give people only 30 minutes to eat, 30 minutes to be served and eat. So that's why I felt like the table service needed to stop at 7:30. Wait.
Yeah.
No, wait. So I had it starting. I'm sorry. I know I'm rambling, you guys. I had the table service starting after live auction part one. Like once it gets into the youth story that sets up the ask, the fund to need, and the last hero. This is the part where I had no table service. Is that where you guys would put it?
So tell me again. So
Pam does her speech, and then live auction part one, we're going to have 3 or 4 trips, which I'll get you guys to help me pick.
Okay.
And then once that's done, no more table service, and you'll introduce a video and you'll say, ladies and gentlemen, this is the most important part of the evening. The whole reason we're here tonight, please direct your attention to the screen. Very inspiring video about a young person. And then you go into the fund to need and the last hero. And then we auction off the Labradoodle after that. So with that flow, do you think table service should continue during live auction part one and then stop before the the video. Is that a good point to do it?
Yeah, I think, I guess the part I'm not seeing, haven't seen it yet, or I'm not, it's just me, but where do you serve the people? Where's the food being served between 7:40?
Yeah, right here, the prayer. Guests are invited to eat, and the food is being served at 6:48 theoretically.
Oh, okay. So
About 10 till 7.
oh, that's way, or okay. So no
Yeah.
one,
And then about 7:20, by then, hopefully everybody's been served. So then people need a little time to eat. So if people, let's say the last person gets served at 7:25, if we stop service at 8, that gives people a little bit of time to get tea or coffee or whatever like that.
well, this is the way I recommend it, because I think, and you got it, not such a huge crowd, but it's not that tiny. But if you have like 400 or 600 people, works this way, that when typically most venues will serve the front tables and then go to the back. Not always, but that's generally how it works. And then so by the time the back tables are getting served, the front tables are kind of done eating. And
Yeah.
so I say, once the back tables get served, maybe wait a little bit, but you don't need to wait for them to finish, because the front tables, they're already done. And then you're stretching their wait time longer. And usually the front tables is the biggest patrons anyway. So
Right. That's true.
when you cater to the front tables and then start it once the back tables have been served, and maybe a little bit of time, but 5 minutes, because people they'll be all right. They'll donate and bid when they're eating, and you'd be surprised how quickly that ends. What do
Okay.
you think, John?
I agree. I think one of the good things about them actually having food while trying to do any part of this is they can't be talking as much.
Mhm.
So it also makes the crowd a little bit quieter. I think you'll hear some clanging and all that, but it's not the low murmur of people having a conversation.
Yeah, and that's one of my kind of concerns, is that when you wait too long after dinner, then people start chatting, and then you get a really loud chatter. And then when that starts going on, it's like, how do you settle it down? Because you didn't get to the fundraising long enough, and then you give people time away from, because they're done eating, and now what do we do? And let's start talking, and then it's just amazing how much noise comes along, and then to bring that noise back down. So that's why
Okay.
they suggest that start it when you can. The sooner the better.
Okay, so right now I've got 6:48. Robin does the prayer and invites people to eat, but they'll be serving food, so it's the waiters passing out the food. So you're saying when the front of the house has been served, go ahead and start. So Kyle said it might take about half an hour to serve everybody. So maybe we allow 20 minutes to serve the front part of the house. Is that what you're saying?
When the rear part of the tables have been served, when they get their food, then I think after that, shortly after that, you can begin, because by then the front part of your tables, they've already been served, and they probably halfway through or more than halfway through.
So that's what we have. That's what we have in the Run a Show right now. So I'm just guessing that'll be around 7:20.
Yeah, I think that's a good time.
Okay, cool. Okay, sweet. So 7:20 they get served. And then if I'm hearing you right, you're saying that, I mean, I feel like I would rather have a plate of food sitting in front of a person not being cleared, but people be focused on the fundraising, than have the servers come and clear all the food and the tables are empty, but people are distracted from the fundraising.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
So I feel like maybe 8 is too late to have people stop serving, because do we want them? John, I'm assuming you would want people focused on you during the live auction. Like, do you find that if plates are being cleared during the live auction, that distracts people?
Well, it's not that they need to be focused on me, but I think Pam's keynote speech really sets everything up, right?
Yeah.
And so I'd rather them be focused on what she says, because that's going to get them motivated to give, and that just sets me up.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to calculate, if 6:48, and this caterer says it'll take about 30 minutes to serve everybody. Well, that's 7:18, and you've got at 7:20 the start of when Taylor and Pam will consult. So I think everybody at that point should have been given their food. I say start at that point,
Right.
give or take, because you're going to have a video for 3 minutes. You're going to have Taylor's thoughts, that kind of stuff. And then, so by the time Pam gets up and speaks, it's 35, it's 5 to 10 minutes since the last table got their food.
And a lot of people will be done eating.
And a lot of people will be done eating. And honestly, I don't have a problem, with the plate still being there, because
Hey, is there an absolute necessity to clear the plates?
Yeah, let's just say no, don't clear any plates. Just serve people, but no clearing of plates during the gala, because I feel like there's no good time to
There is
allow
never a
to
good
clear
time.
plates.
No, I agree. Just leave them.
Now, I would say coffee or tea or water or that kind of stuff, absolutely. That doesn't bother me, because that takes what, a second or two per person, and you don't want them to go to get up to go to a bar to get a drink. So I think tea and water or whatever can still be served, but I would leave the plates myself and just go forward that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. If you guys are, because
I have a question.
it takes a lot. Takes a lot of effort to remove all
Is
those
it just
plates.
is it just one course, Kenda?
We are presetting the salad and dessert, so the only thing being served is the main meal.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure we were accounting for all of the courses.
And I kind of feel like sometimes they'll walk around and offer, would you like some coffee or tea? Let's not offer. Like if someone specifically asks, hey, can I have coffee? Okay. But I think I should just tell them, like, don't worry about clearing plates and don't worry about offering coffee or tea. Nobody's there for the food. Is that
right?
Okay.
I don't disagree with that. And you know what? What happens is when the fundraising is over, people hang out. That's the time for the coffee and tea, and that's the time for
Yes.
And I like to have it toward the end anyway, for me personally. But
Yes. Okay. So I'll just say limit server activity. And I'll give her a time frame. Okay, cool. That's helpful. So I can take this 8 o'clock thing off because, yeah, I'll change this. Make that more clear. Okay, cool. Thanks guys for helping me with that. Okay, so John, for the live auction, we're thinking last year, I think we had 3 items in the live auction. I think I have the slides up over here somewhere. Where do I have the slides up?
let me, I've got last year's live auction items real quick.
No, it's not that one. It's not the rolling one. It's this one. Okay, so last year we had Mexico, family destination. Okay, so we had 2 live auction items, and then we had the Last Hero game.
Yeah, that's it.
So we just had 2 auction items and a prize.
The all-inclusive vacation to Cancun, and then the ultimate family destination, Tahoe, Vail, Maui, Virginia, Hawaii.
Right. This year's going to be very different because last year we had such a long program. This year it's a very short program. Last year we had so many speakers. This year it's just Pam in the auction. So how many items would you guys recommend for the live auction, like knowing everything on our run of show?
Well, I think your Labradoodle is kind of a keynote item. I say 4, 5 at the most. I don't think you need more than that. What do you think? Because John's quick. If you figure 2 minutes per item, 3 minutes per item, 15 minutes.
Well,
What do you
hopefully
think?
it's a lot longer. I guess my question would be, are these multi-cell?
I was going to.
Yeah, I would love for y'all to help us pick good ones that can be multi-cell, because I think that's what y'all would recommend, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've got to say, I got suggestions from all these different auction companies, and there's a new one. I guess it's new to me, anyways, called Charity Ace that I found through One
I know
Cost.
Charity Ace. I know very
Okay,
well.
so anyways, I've got to say, like, I've looked at them all, but I get kind of overwhelmed, and sometimes it's hard to compare because there's Charity Booster has a Tuscany thing and Charity Ace has a Tuscany
They all
thing.
do.
And I haven't had time to sit there and compare like the nonprofit cost, the retail value, like all the things.
Did I send that to you, or do you want me to resend the pack?
You sent me some stuff, and Victoria and I, here it is that you sent. So Victoria and I looked at this today.
Right. There's a
And,
lot. What I would do is go with your gut. And I think let me get rid of this call. You've got levels, and this is the reason I sent the various folks. You've got lower levels at $1,000 for the all-inclusive Mexico trip, and you've got middle levels like Charity Booster, and then you've got higher end levels like Charity Ace or Lux Give. So generally speaking, these that we do, people are in at about $35,000 to $5,000. Your event, I think that's kind of where you're at. A couple of things we could try. Something that we're doing in Chicago is a one price. It's a Mexico trip that you guys pay, I think, $1,500, and it's worth about $5,000. And John could say something to the effect of, "Ladies and gentlemen," and we have sold this trip for $4,000 or $5,000, but today we're going to sell it for one price. And so you do the one-time, one price trip, and that means that Connections Homes gets $1,000 per package sold. So I've sold as many as 16 of these at one time, because one, you tell people ahead of time. Two, it's a good cost because they're receiving it like 65% of value, and three, you can multi-sell as many of them as you want. And that's the Vedanta trip, and it has a little video with it if you want to use the video or not. Or you could do other trips that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just asking, do you see I'm taking notes while you talk?
Okay.
I was just asking how to spell it, but it doesn't matter. Go ahead, George.
No. Or, April's pretty good. April McGill with Silent Auction Vacations. They changed their name to Charity Vacations now, but it's still Silent Auction Vacations. April's on there. And the reason I sent you the ones that I sent you is because we've worked with them a number of times in the past, and they come through. I've gotten other vendors I've gotten feedback. They're like, "Wow, we tried to go, we couldn't find the right people," and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we
really liked these a lot.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's too late. I don't think it is. But on your Facebook page, or if you have an email blast, pick the top 6 or 7 that you like the most. Toss them out there and say, "What do you guys like?" And see what kind of feedback you get. And if more people say, "We'd like to go to the Mexico thing," or maybe something we just sold was the European gems. There's the European gems that you can go to Paris, Athens, Paris, Greece, Spain, or something. Anyway, but pick your favorites, put them out there, and see what kind of feedback you get.
Yeah, we do have a survey that should go out hopefully tomorrow. I sent it out in the past. Only 2 of our board members filled it out. I think they're just busy, but hopefully we'll get some feedback on the survey.
Yeah, or just pick what you like. But yeah, I don't know. But since you've got the Labradoodle, that's one big item, and you've got the Last Hero, that's something else. And then so maybe 3, 4 at the most. I think that'd be quick. And are these all going to be? So with the Labradoodle, that's 5 auction items if you have 4 trips. So maybe 3 trips in a Labradoodle.
Well, actually, the way the run of show is, we've got part 1 of the live auction here.
Yeah.
Then the video and the fund to need the last hero, and then part 2 of the live auction. We're thinking that the Labradoodle is a nice carrot to encourage people to stay to the very end because they'll wonder who gets it. But I don't know if y'all agree with that.
I know that you've never sold pethood rights. I don't want to say pethood rights. Anyway, so do you have people in the crowd that are going to adopt an animal and pay for it?
People that are going to bid on the animal?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Pam's really excited about it. People she's talked to are excited about it. I think we've heard from other charities, and I don't know if you guys have experience with it, but I have heard stories of puppies that are not even like purebred anything. They're just cute, going for thousands and thousands of dollars because of that. Like all the adorable photos, and you have people who want to give anyway, and they want a dog anyway. And so we're not telling, it's actually a surprise. We're not telling people in advance about the Labradoodle because Pam's theory is that really it's going to be that like call of the heart moment. And if you have too much time to think about it, you might talk yourself out of it. So what are your thoughts? Do you think the Labradoodle should be saved to the end of the evening? Or do you think instead we talk about the last hero prize as our thing you don't want to miss? I don't know.
Well, John, I'll let you chime in, but my thoughts are I like to be the last hero last because that's meant as a sweep up for the end of the night anyway. And it's $100 and people are saving their $100. But animals are weird. I've sold animals and some have been super great. And others I'm like, nobody's going to buy it. And the money, and then because people weren't in the crowd, and that's why I say, do you know who's in the crowd? And typically the animals, which is about maybe 6 at this point, Labradoodles, and what was the other doodle? They're always doodles because they're hypoallergenic dogs, and they typically go for $4,000 to $12,000.
What the Labradoodles do?
Yeah.
In auctions for you?
Yeah, but they've been for schools.
Cool.
And what I find with animal groups is that animal rescue groups, they're not into that because they're into the rescues. So that's why pure breeds hardly ever sell with animal rescue groups because they're like, it's kind of against their principles.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that could explain some of the stories I've heard because it's all about who's in your crowd. Yeah,
it's about that, and so that's why I say, and I've done connections homes, and we've never done animals, so
Yeah, well, John, what do you think about the Labradoodle?
I would merge the Labradoodle with the I guess part 1 is what we're calling it.
Okay.
And I would just put all the auction together, and then we do the video, and then we just hit them strong with that. Feel the emotional appeal. And then we go into the fund to need and finish with that last hero standing, because that is a good way to finish an event because it's fun, it's entertaining, and and somebody gets a prize out of it. So.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay.
Yeah, and just to reiterate what John said, I think it only makes sense to keep the live auction items together in one batch instead of split them up. So that way you're done with something and then move on to the other part.
Okay. Yeah, that's totally fine with me. Do you, I guess with the last hero prize, is that kind of our carrot to encourage people to stay to the end instead of us saying, stay to the very end so you can see who wins the Labradoodle? Instead, we can be saying, stay to the very end because we have a great prize. You'll have a chance to win.
Well, and John, please chime in. My thoughts on that is that a Labradoodle is really limited because you're going to have a few people that want the Labradoodle and everybody else to go,
right.
Isn't that cute? The last hero prize is way more universal because everybody can get it for $100. So that's why you do that. You got a more universal approach to getting everybody a chance at it versus small number of people for an animal.
I agree. Last thing we'll do tonight is play a fun game where you can win an amazing prize.
What do you think, John?
Well, I think you don't do checkout until we're done with the fund to need. So they can't leave theoretically until they've checkout is open. So checkout does not open until after I'm done with the fund and eat.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, some people just leave early because they didn't bid on anything in the auction and they just walk out, you
Right.
know.
But they
Well,
also they don't know when the program's over, you know. So here we are at 8 o'clock and we're running a video. They don't know what time the program's going to be over. They don't know what all's coming up, right? So it's not like it's 10 o'clock and they've got to go worry about their babysitter. It's 8 o'clock here. I don't think most people start leaving till 9:30 when they start thinking about, oh, I got to get home, get the kids to bed.
Okay. Yeah,
so-
that makes sense. So I changed it to be instead of her saying stay to the end for the Labradoodle, it'll just stay to the end to play the fun game where you can win an amazing prize. And you know, I agree. We're going to end so much earlier. We probably won't have that issue at all.
Yeah, I think it's funny because even though you start earlier, I think people's circadian clock is still going to be at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. They still check out no matter what time you start. I don't think it's going to be like, they're not going to feel like at 8 o'clock, it's 9 o'clock. They'll still be at 8 o'clock and they'll still have that energy. I think it's a good idea.
Okay, so we're thinking, so John, you're thinking 4 items that are, look for some that are multi-cell, include the Labrador as one of those 4. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, because you're going to be giving a trip away as the prize for the fund and eat, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So my concern, and I'm just being very honest here, is a trip. If you have too many of them, all multi-cell, people start to, oh, if he's got multi-cell in this one and multi-cell in that one, I'm not going to bid on this one because he's probably got extras. And if that's all you have, then they pick up on it after 3 or 4 items. Okay.
Yep.
You know, if you had
go ahead.
But I'm just saying, if you had something else to mix in, like, you know, an autographed football from the Falcons or something like that, that totally changes it.
Okay, well, let me show you guys this. Let's see, do I have it up? Here we go. Well, you can't really tell from this, but you all are probably familiar with All-American Classics. So I don't think Jimmy Buffett just passed away. I don't know what the Jimmy Buffett item is, but
Those are silent auction items.
yes. Are any of these, let's see, I guess I could have a separate sidebar email with you guys where we take a look at what, if there's any of these other silent auction items that would be good for the live.
That's kind of memorabilia and rock and roll stuff. I've never really seen it do that much at live auction.
Okay. Yeah, so we don't really have, I mean, we don't really have anything huge
what
to
is
mix in.
the Braves package?
It's an article with 2 hand-painted baseballs. I don't know. It's something.
Oh, I see. It's an article. No, I was thinking it was like a game.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had like the, and I think she had that once. And once again, it depends who's in the crowd. Are they dog fans? And I didn't find that they were big dog fans because they were doing other stuff.
Yeah. Well, what we could do then on that note, John, is we could have just the last trip be a multi-cell so that people don't have the Labradoodle, 2 trips that's just a regular auction, and then 1 trip that's a multi-cell. Is that what you guys would say?
No, not at all.
No, sorry. I still think you ought to do multi-cell on every trip you have.
Everything you can. If you can multi-sell it, sell every one.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't communicate that effectively. What I'm saying is I wouldn't go more than 3 because I think at that point the newness of multi-selling it wears off and they start to assume that it will be multi-sell. But if you had something else that was just a one-off to throw in there, let's say like a Taylor Swift, I saw that on there. Taylor Swift is hot in the Facebook media and all that kind of stuff right now. So, I mean, if you threw a Taylor Swift item in there, that's going to change everybody's remembering of what the last item was. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. I don't have anything like that except for what you guys saw.
Yeah.
classics.
And,
So I don't know if those are the level that would be for a live auction.
A Taylor Swift item, if you've got a Taylor Swift signed guitar with concert tickets, the Eras tour is over, those sold for $8,000 twice. So I'm like, oh, that's big money.
Yeah, if y'all can get us anything like that, I'm all for it. But I have not at that level.
Well, what I would do if instead of do travel, but mix it up. You know, if you've got a winter vacation or surf and turf or European, make them different, or European capitals, or if you want the Emmys or maybe a country music awards, we can get you that kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. So it'll be like the Labradoodle and then 3 multi-cell trips that are different from each other. They're not.
Yeah.
And so how can I tell in the paperwork which ones are multi-cell? Like, I guess
They're all multi-cell. Yeah.
all of these are?
Yeah. I wouldn't, every one of those companies, I can multi-sell, John can multi-sell, because that's the power of them, is that we can multi-sell them. And if they don't sell, then you don't pay. But the whole point is if you're going to multi-sell, then I think you do this, John. I know I do this, is that sometimes you can sell an auction item for really high money just because people get excited, and John's really exciting. And you take it really high and you sell it once and you're like, oh, that was cool, but you only sold it once. And John's funny at this because he'll like, what are you doing, George? And we'll stop before we get to the top because we can and that way you sell it 5 or 6 times. So better to sell it multiple times and make $1,200 or $1,000 or $1,500 per item than sell it once over the top and make, $1,200 once. That kind of.
And y'all will have the I forget what you call them, the runners in the audience to help with the multi-selling.
The bid spotters.
Bid spotters, yes.
Yeah, and you have who's doing your scribing, I guess.
We need to figure that out. So thank you for saying that. So I need to.
I know that Kristen, you were doing that kind of stuff last time, and you had.
I've done that, and I'm happy to do it again. George, because you're not going to be here, I'm assuming your lovely wife won't be there.
No.
And she's also really great with helping me double check my list. So,
I know that Debbie was there before.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm flying solo without her, but I can do it.
Oh, I'm touched.
Well, we can have so we've got Kristen, you and I can come up with a sidebar conversation and figure out who else can do it with you. I'm happy to do it with you too.
Okay.
So.
And what I would do, and we always do, and I bring a camera, but record it with your phone. It's got memo on there, and just record it somewhere. Somebody record the audio.
That's genius.
Because that way, and you guys have actually called me and said, I got it. I got you. And I'll go back and look at my video. And that way, when you record it, you're like, everybody's human. And so when you record it, you'll have a recording of it and you can go back and preview it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks for asking that, because I totally forgot about that piece. So,
yeah, because I will say that even though John is funny and handsome and all that stuff, but don't let him hear me say that. The most important person in the crowd is who's following the money. Because even though he can get it, but if nobody records it and nobody writes it down, then it's like, well, and that happens.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. So
Kendra, one quick question here. Right there where you were on 732, it says slide needs to reflect our cost and minimum bid.
yeah.
I'm maybe this is just me, but I would not put your cost on there.
I'm with you, John.
I would put starting bid. You're going to let me know what it is, but I would not put the cost on there.
Tell
George,
me what
do
you
you
would
think?
put on there. The audio.
I agree completely with John. Kendra, what John is saying is if you put the value of your auction item on there, in other words, if we say the gems to Europe, it's worth $5,000 or $4,500, then people are going to take it to that level and then they won't go above. And it sets a ceiling or a floor. So rather than do that, let the auctioneer declare the values when he feels it's appropriate or not when he feels it's appropriate. It can go both ways. If things are low, you can say it's worth $6,000 and bring it up. And if it's going up, you don't need to tell him. So, and I know John's a master of that, so he knows what to say, when to say it. But I agree, don't tell your audience about the costs.
So I guess we've had not we Connections Homes, but in my other places I've been, have had the experience where the person buys a trip and they think that we received the full $6,000 that the trip cost. They don't understand that the nonprofit gets a discount price.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So just to give the audience a sense that net proceeds benefit Connections Homes. You're not making a 6,000 straight donation.
Right. Well, I think in that case, what I do with that is I say, ladies and gentlemen, we wish this could all be free, but it's not. This has a minimum cost, and tell them that. And that's why I'm starting here. If the minimum cost is $2,500 and I start at $3,000, I'll say the minimum cost, we need to cover that. We wish we could all, but these things are not free. You don't need to tell them the top cost. It's okay to make reference to the lower cost to say that.
Oh, that's what I was saying. Yeah, the charity cost. So, for example, if it costs us $1,000, the minimum bid is $1,300.
Yeah, whether or not you need to put that into the actual written paperwork and what the audience sees, I'm still with John. I don't think they need to see it. We can tell them, but I think that's up to you guys. I'm not going to push on that. Well, John, what do you think?
Well, I agree with you, George. I want them to be focused on what they're willing to pay, not the cost or what the value of it is.
Yeah. Because what happens there, and I'm sorry, I'll shut up real quick. But what happens is if you give them a low cost, then they start trying to bargain hunt and trying to lowball you. And you don't want them to do that either, because they're like, oh, well, they're only paying $1,200 for it, so I'm going to give them $1,500. But it's worth way more than that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I want to follow y'all's recommendations because I know you are the masters of this and do this all the time. I would also like to avoid the scenario where the person thinks their $6,000 for the trip is going to be 100% donation. So I think the slide could say something about what you had said earlier, George, was like, these trips are not free. To cover the cost of the trip, the minimum bid is something like that.
I think that's an internal discussion with Connections Homes. It's kind of a philosophical thing. I don't think there's an easy answer to that one at all.
We haven't really done that in the past with slides, and we've never had an issue with a donor.
That's what I thought. I was trying to think, and I don't remember putting numbers up. So
I actually would say that it's better not to put numbers up because you don't want people trying to do math in their heads in the moment. And then trying to say, okay, well, let me only go above 300, and that's my max. You don't want them to set a ceiling for themselves because of a number you put on a screen.
Yeah, and they will do that. They'll definitely do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not okay. Well, I can delete this. This is just something Pam and I talked about, but it's not that anyone ever comes back and says, why is my tax receipt wrong? It's more like when you go to ask for a major gift, they're like, I gave my major gift last year, that kind of thing. Where did I go just now? Where was I?
And that's why I say it's a kind of a philosophical decision and discussion. But in the past, if the numbers have never been there, then do you start doing it now? Because once you do that, then you're setting up a precedent for the future. And if you start doing that, are you setting up your patrons to start setting floors and ceilings because you've told them the values? And people do that. I've seen that.
Yeah. Well, I'll follow your recommendation.
Actually told me, well, I only bid this much because I know it. So. Yeah.
Okay. I deleted it. I hear what you're saying. So we'll go with that.
And of course, I will leave it like this too. This is all up to you and Pam and Kristen. I mean, because you guys are and I know how Pam is definitely hands-on, and but she's putting a lot of trust in us, so we don't take that lightly.
Right. No, I spoke to her about that, and she approved the wording I had in there when I spoke with her last week. But I think your input is valid. So obviously, you guys know what you're doing. You do this all the time. So I don't think it's a major thing. It's going to be a rare case where we're going to someone who paid $6,000 for a trip in the auction, and we're asked. It's going to be rare,
Yeah, and if they come around, then you could show them.
Yeah. So we can leave it. Okay, so 4 items, the Labradoodle and 3 trips that are multi-cell. And then, so that's at 7:32, 15 minutes for that. Sounds good?
Think so. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think, John? That should be plenty of time, right?
Oh yeah.
4 items, 3 minutes, 2 minutes each. Yeah, that's pretty quick.
Well,
Okay.
with a whole bunch of multi-selling, George. Come on now.
Sold.
Okay, and then that part I'm changing. So 7:47 is about when the video will happen. So even if we're running late, what's nice is it's still going to be early. If we're
Early.
running late, yeah. So 7:47 is the video. Okay, and I got to take out all references to the Labradoodle. Thanks, audience. Yeah.
And I would leave it to you guys, but I will tell you that schools often do sneak peeks with animals. They rarely make it a surprise. Because think about it. If you want to get a Labradoodle and you're coming, or you don't even know you want to get a Labradoodle, or you have a dog in your future, and then you're coming to a gala and they're offering an animal, that's a big commitment to just be surprised with.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
I'll connect with Pam again on that and ask her. Okay. Okay, 7:47 is the video. And this video, we don't have them done yet, but it should be just like a 3-minute video. So that puts this at 7:47. Yeah. And then so the fund and need would start around 10 till 8. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so how much time should I allow for the fund and need and the last year? And I know I need to give you guys the levels. I think y'all typically recommend 4 giving levels. Is that right?
Well, typically we're at 5,000, 2,500, 1,000, 500, 250, and then $100 for the last hero.
Okay. So I need to give
That's
you
what
the
I've done with you guys. Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure those are the levels you guys have been at.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
And I would recommend a slide for each one of those levels.
Right.
And if you can give a little synopsis of at $5,000, what can y'all do with $5,000?
Right.
Yeah, I think that we have that from
Last year.
I think we have it, but I'll look for it and make sure to give that to y'all.
And then at the $100 level, definitely having, and I think George already has a slide for it. He could send it over of explaining the last hero game.
Do you guys still have that slide? I'm looking at connection sums from last year.
We do, yeah.
Yeah, it said this is not a bid. It's a straight donation. Every donation counts. Every time you raise your bidder card, it counts. So 3 times 100 is 300. The last hero wins. But yeah, if you need those, let me know. But I've sent them to you before. I bet you still have them.
Do you see it? It should be shared on your screen right now.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, right there. Exactly.
Okay.
Same thing.
Okay, cool. So we got that. Last hero instructions and plus the prize. Okay. So how long should we allow for all of this?
Yeah, 20 minutes for the last hero, I think is plenty.
Yeah.
So fund to need and last hero. I guess, is this the part that's called the fund to need, right? And then
Yes.
this part. Okay, so fund to need and last hero 20 minutes or?
Yeah, I think so. That's about the right timing, isn't it, George?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you know for sure that you've got a $5,000 donation, then it'll take a minute or two. But if we don't, I'm not going to sit there and belabor it. I'm going to drop down to the next level. So,
Right.
But as we like to say, if we don't ask, we can't get. So we're gonna ask, but we'll drop down relatively quickly if nobody's there at that $5,000 level. So.
Okay, cool. So yeah, then let's see. So after the last hero, 811, I guess really this can be.
I think at this point, the question is, do you want me to wrap up and say, thank you everybody for coming? Checkout is now open. Please, if you want any items on the silent auction, you'll need to check out there and pick up your items, pay for your live auction items, pay for your donations in the fund of need. Or do you want Taylor or somebody to get up and wrap everything up?
Yeah, that's a good question. I had Taylor doing that, but it makes sense. You're already up there. What do you think, John?
Oh, I'm happy to do it. It's just, do you want their last impression of it to be me, or do you want it to be, Pam or Taylor?
I think,
Or,
yeah, I think that I think John says thank you, and it's been our honor to raise funds for you guys, and just a couple of footnotes, but let's bring Taylor back up, and maybe Pam says thank you, and then Taylor wraps it up. You have an MC. I think the MC begins and ends.
Yeah.
And it's not that we don't want John, and I've done it too, but I always like to bring the MC back so that there's continuity to your show.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, and you're thinking I should add Pam at the end again?
No, I don't know. I mean, I think Pam has come up and said thank you, but no, not necessarily.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay, cool. So it can go from John doing the Fund and Need and Last Hero, then I'll change this to where they're setting up checkout earlier in the evening, and then checkout is all set up when the Taylor goes back up and has the closing remarks and everything. So.
And I will say this about that part, because think about what's going on. You just did a live auction, you did a Fund to Need, and you've got silent auction items, and your team is just done tracking all the information. Now they have to go over to the table and then input everything into one cause so that they can come up with the invoices for your patrons. That takes time. So sometimes if there's a way to buffer that time toward the end, I don't know what you do there. A lot of times that's where you have a little speech, you have a wrap-up speech or something to take up 5-10 minutes so that you give your clerks and your registration folks times to catch their breath and get back to that spot where they are checking people out.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Happens all the time, and they're like, "Oh, we're not ready," and then
Yeah.
that's where you have a DJ and music and dancing, but you never know. Some people may just leave, and they need time to do that.
Yeah,
And
that's
putting in last hero stuff sometimes right on the tail end of everything. I want to make sure that I have everyone's bidder number correct and that I've added it to their cart before they're checking out.
Right. So, Kristen, you know what I'm saying then, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know that kind of rush at the end when you get crazy and frantic and then mistakes get made. And so you need time to do that.
Right.
Yeah. What could we put in here? That's a really good point. What could we put? Pam in there? What do you think, Kristen?
I think the easiest thing is to have her go back up and just thank everybody and say something, and then maybe have Taylor bookend.
Yeah.
That would give plenty of time.
Pam is such a pro that she can just wing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
I've just seen that way too many times. It's just such a common thing every time. They need time at the end.
And it could be as simple as, Pam gets up and says, I want to thank the team that put this event on. Thank you so much.
Do you have
recognizes them?
Right, here's a point where you can re-thank your sponsors if you haven't thanked them already.
That's a good idea.
Good idea.
That's where you thank your sponsors.
That's perfect.
And that'll take up the right amount of time, and you acknowledge your sponsors.
That's perfect. I love that.
And
Okay.
that's where the sponsors go.
Okay, cool. And then that puts this at 8:16. Gosh, y'all, even if we're half an hour late, we're still out of there by 9.
Okay. And think about this. I would hope that you guys stick to the timeline, because you watch, somebody's going to say, well, let's start late, and it'll get pushed. And so hopefully you don't, but it happens all the time.
Well, Kristen, I don't know if you were on the call when we talked about the fact that this year we're doing the cocktail hour starting at 5:30.
I don't think I was. I might have been out on maternity leave.
So that'll be interesting, because like a 5:30 cocktail hour, and then starting the program, hopefully, asking people to start moving to their seats around 6:30, starting the program at 6:45. So we've been advertising the start time as 5:30 cocktail hour, 6:45 seated dinner and mission showcase. So if people slide in late and miss the very, very beginning, there's still going to be a video in the middle and a video toward the end. So it wouldn't be the end of the world, but it will be interesting to see how many people arrive on time.
And that's kind of why I say that, because if you say, well, oh, we got to accommodate the people who are late, then you start pushing your programming late, and then it all kind of goes out the window. It sounds great right now.
Yeah, it sounds great right now. I mean, do you think I'm lying? Like, let's say that instead of starting at 6:45, we start at 7. That would push everything 15 minutes. We would still be wrapping up at 8:30.
I think that's fine. As long as you're not 9:30. Just remember this, that 9 o'clock is the death nail. It's like Dracula.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I like where you're at.
Yeah.
But you watch, it's going to get pushed anyway. I'm just predicting.
It probably will, because I don't think people are used to starting that early. Just getting through traffic to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I would say, like, maybe we just have a hard and fast rule that no matter who's in the room, no matter what, we don't want to start later than 7:05 or 7:10 or something like that.
Yep. And it's interesting because we did that the other night, and I'm like, they're like, oh, we can't start. People aren't sitting at their seats. And I said, let's just start. And they said, okay, let's just start. So, and I was the MC. So we started, and guess what? People got to their seats.
Yeah.
And they sit because, I got to sit down. And then they're like, I got to sit down. And they sit down. So, yeah, if you wait for them to sit, they'll never sit.
Yeah. So that would be 20 minutes later. We would still be done by 8:45, and that still gives people time to check out. Okay. Okay, cool. So, I'll work on finalizing what our trips are, and
Sure.
I'll update all of this. Is it okay if I email you guys for feedback on the trips once we pick those
Of course.
out?
Of course.
That's good.
Do I have your email, John?
I think it's on. I've been getting the emails.
I sent everybody emails on it's an email chain.
Okay.
If if you send it back to me, then I'll make sure you get it. Do you know what HoneyBook is? I can't believe it. I'm finally becoming organized.
It's cool. It's neat. I'll stop sharing so I can look at it again. Yeah.
I like.
I've not used it, but it's cool that you
use CRM. And I'm like, oh my God, anyway. And I love the way it keeps track of everything and all the email chains, and everybody's in on it. And so
That's
a project.
great.
Yeah, it works really well. So if it comes back to me and John doesn't get it, but he probably will.
So I'm in here now, but I'm in the studio, I guess, for the call. But I guess when I'm in the portal, I'll be able to see where I can communicate with you guys, probably just in messages. And that's probably the best way for me to use the HoneyBook portal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just respond to the email. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So any other thoughts? Anything else we need to talk about that we haven't?
The only thing we had on there was I see the DJs are going to be there at 2:30ish. What time do you want me to do my sound check?
Oh yeah, I haven't heard back from Pam exactly when Jam and DJs is arriving. I put that in as like a placeholder.
Okay.
So that's a good question. Let me find out from Pam. What time are you available, John?
Oh, well, I can be there whatever time you need me.
Okay.
Because I'll have all my quote unquote notes of what I've got to do, everything all laid out beforehand. And so really for me, when I get there, I'm ready to go. I just need to be able to do a sound check so that they can hear, the tone of my voice, and he can adjust the sound levels as necessary.
Okay. Yeah. I'll find out from Pam what time they said and add that to the Rona show, and then you'll see your name in there for the sound check.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for all your time.
Anytime. Thank you.
Anytime.
Okay.
And Kendra, let me give you my cell phone number. I don't know if you have that.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
302-932-5885. 3213.
Okay,
And if you
awesome.
need anything, just let me know.
And what's your last name, John?
McMurry, McMurry.
Okay, perfect. Awesome sauce. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate all your advice and help.
No worries.
All right. Thank y'all so
Thanks.
much.
Keep us in the loop. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
bye. Talk to you.